Wait, that can't be right. That's what's so fucking fantastic about this game. You've got so many little bits and pieces that don't need to be there but are, and make it so much better for it. I'm still blown away by all the hard work that's gone into this. I love this artwork. Oh my god. While walking through the courtyard, I noticed a small burlap sack sitting on the ground by the bear statue. I scoop it up and gently beat the settling dust off of it. Peering briefly inside, I see that it's filled with exotic spices, dried fruits, and other rare ingredients for cooking, as well as several handfuls of monkey nuts. Monkey nuts! What could this be doing here? Who left their nuts in my yard? As if on cue, a disheveled attendant stumbles towards me from inside the castle. I recognize him as one of the cooks. The man stops in front of me, and I watch patiently as he catches his breath. Good day, Kendred. What ails you?
My lord, good day to you. I see you found my ingredients. Sorry about that, I must have left them here by mistake.
I raise my brow in question and close the bag, keeping it rested on my palm. It's a strange place to leave such a thing. What were they doing here?
I was careless is all, you know how it is, my lord.
Such a specialty ingredients as well. I don't recall procuring them, and I thought we didn't require supplies until next week.
The master bought these recently for a few special dishes. He's still hard at work perfecting them, but I'm sure you'll taste them soon. Well, I'd love to speak more, my lord, but would you mind returning them to me now? The cook's waiting for me.
It's subtle, but I could see the anxiousness in his demeanor. I could easily explain it away as a nervous attendant caught by the lord of the castle in a careless moment, but the unease in my stomach speaks of more, yet I know I can't run with these thoughts when there's nothing more before me. I shove the worry away and hand him the sack. Fine, I suppose.
Thank you very much. Here's something for the trouble.
He pulls out a bundle from the pack around his waist and presents me with some fresh, steaming hot rice balls in exchange. Ooh, lovely. They're quite girthy, and I'm impressed by the weight as I hold one in my hand.
Made them myself. It's quite good, should the lord wish for a snack. I guarantee they're as delicious and filling as they look.
Is that so? I hope not to be disappointed then.
I'm sure you won't be.
But anyway, by your leave, my lord. I dismiss him with a short wave and watch him retreat back indoors with the sack of ingredients slung over his shoulder. Once alone, I turn my attention to the food gifted to me. A warm vapor wafts from the rice balls, whetting my appetite. They're still fresh, and knowing they were handled by a man who knew what he was doing, I lick my lips in anticipation before opening wide for a bite. The sticky sensation of the white rice and light saltiness fill my mouth with flavor and heat. I hum in satisfaction, licking the residual white on my fingertips. Thank you for the meal. Oh yes, very heavy. Nice balls. I'm not sure we can look at anything else right now. As I walk to another side of the courtyard, I notice one of the attendants who usually works around the castle. If I recall correctly, she is one who is particularly diligent. My attendants can be quite keen, and tend to notice things that evade even my attention, so who better to speak to than one who knows the castle? I decide to make most of my opportunity and approach her. Upon drawing closer, I maintain a friendly attitude with hopes of acquiring answers. Lovely day, isn't it? Oh, good day, my lord. Yes, it's a lovely day indeed. Is there anything I can help you with? In a way. I'm enjoying the scenery, but I hope to check if all is well within the castle. After all, it's best to relax knowing the castle is peaceful, isn't it? Rest assured that we're fine, my lord. Most are preoccupied with indoor tasks at this time of day, so we're still quite busy, but the lord is gracious to mind that we aren't all overworked. I see. You seem to be quite very aware of what happens within the castle. As is my job, my lord. And would you know if there's anything that should be brought to my attention? Doesn't matter how small, as long as it's something amiss. I keep my voice as casual and amicable as possible, ensuring there are no hints of my true intent. It helps that I'm always one to bear a smile on my face towards my people, but a little extra cordiality wouldn't hurt. However, to my dismay, her reply leads to a dead end. Not that I am aware of, no. Is that so? Nothing unusual at all? No, I shouldn't think so. And if trouble arises, I'm sure you will be the first to know. The attendant is firm on her stance, brushing off any suggestion or question that something was amiss. I present her with my best smile, but rethink my course of action. If a straightforward question won't yield anything, perhaps finding holes might work instead.
I noticed the village was quieter today. Would you know anything about that?
Most of the villagers are day laborers. They're out enjoying the spring.
All at once?
If it happened that way, then evidently coincidences happen, my lord.
It's so many at once.
Many? I'm not sure what you mean, my lord. If there should be many, it can be by fate that they happen so close together. You shouldn't worry.
However, instead of reassuring, I find her responses more suspicious and somehow a challenge to my authority. Her rebuffs at every turn are so ready that I can't help but think that she knows something. Asking outright doesn't work. Prodding for information doesn't work. That leaves one more option in my arsenal. Though I avoid using my demonic voice for such a cause, a natural, sultry tone and something extra can convince most to see things my way. Alright, time to turn on the charm. Surely that's not all you can say, dear girl.
Again, I'm not sure what you mean, my lord.
I slowly close the distance between us and reach out to tilt her chin upward. Her gaze meets mine, her face dusted a pretty pink. And with the beautiful sights around us, I set the scene perfectly for this moment. I lower my volume before leaning in next to her ear for the killing blow. I think you do. Now be a good girl and tell me what you know. A silence falls between us as my order hangs in the air. The attendant attempts to avoid my gaze, but I see her mind working as she weighs her options. The blush reaches her ears, and her hand moves to cover her mouth. I pull away a little, but stay close and smile just enough when she peeks and turns away again. This is the point where they usually break. The silence stays for a few more seconds as I check for her reaction. She takes a breath and meets my gaze. But to my surprise, her eyes only show a stoic glare, seemingly unaffected by my charms.
What I know is that we have a lord who is very touchy with this servant. Attractive though he may be, he's getting in the way of her work. Might she be able to leave, then?
Takes a second for me to recover from this harsh rebuttal. Though my pride is bruised, I refuse to let her have the last word. I maintain a smile on my face as I pull away with an amused chuckle. Fair enough, then. Sorry to bother you, kindred. You may return to your duties.
Thank you, my lord. Please call upon us if you are in need of something we'll be able to help with. Now, if you will excuse me.
The attendant strides purposefully across the courtyard, and left alone in the courtyard, I let out a bitter laugh at the situation. A passing crow's caw overhead and a gentle morning breeze accompany me in the quiet. I know when I'm beaten. To her credit, not once did she waver. I vaguely wonder if I should stop taking matters into my own hands and leave it to Onigiri. For the more I look, the more it feels like I'm simply chasing ghosts. Or am I perhaps not looking hard enough? I return to my stroll, no more certain of the truth. Damn, alright. As looking around the halls resulted only in gaining mild frustration, I head down the castle halls to return to my rooms and clear my mind in solitude. I glance outside the windows in passing, wondering if I will see the smoke again. But the forest is clear and peaceful, as if it never happened. It never happened. We got you. It's false. It's false. It's fiction. It's fiction. It's totally made up. It's totally made up. A total fabrication. This one was invented by a writer. For a moment, I toy with the possibility of it being something more sinister. Careless assassins, a yokai challenging my power, perhaps even Tokugawa. But the more I think, the more tired I feel, especially when I know that going down this path leads to paranoia over what may be nothing. There have been many coincidences, but beyond the gunpowder, nothing indicates malicious intent. I can feel suspicion lurking behind me, gnawing at my spine. But what kind of lord would I be if I started looking at my own people and only saw potential traitors? As I climb higher through the castle and enter the hallway of one of the upper floors, I notice an attendant hurrying along, looking a bit panicked. His back is turned to me, so I can't see his face, but I can hear the words carry through the silence. Okay, found it. I can't believe I almost... I
frown as I watch his distress. That won't do. I head towards him with the intent to check and see if I might ease his worries. However, as luck would have it, he hurries off and rounds the corner before I can reach him. What could have gotten him so panicked, I wonder? I walk down the hall and follow the path he took, but as I round the corner, I notice a small piece of paper on the floor, close to an open window. Upon moving closer, I notice that it has a symbol written on it, and my eyes widen as I recognize it as the clan's insignia. But why is that on this paper? I reach out to grab it, but a strong breeze blows before I can touch it and takes the note away. Curiosity and urgency take a hold of me, and I immediately chase after it, out of the window. But just as quickly regret my decision. I feel the note between my fingers as I manage to catch it, but gravity and the precarious position pinch my body forward, sending me tumbling out and down. I desperately clutch onto whatever I can before the fall, and my arm strains as I end up dangling off the roof ledge. I glance down at the dizzying height of the forest below me, cutting off any other thoughts but survival. I quickly tuck the note within my OB and reach up to pull my body upward. The tiles on the roof don't offer much support, but if I'm careful, I can pull myself up to safety, then return to the window, and it's then that I hear the sharp slide and thud of the nearby window closing. What? A closing window means that someone was there. Could they not see me? If I looked out the window, then they closed it instead. Then it was deliberate? The thought of such a thing sends a flash of icy fear and fury through me, and in the emotional surge I can feel my grip on the roof's edge wavering. I shake my head as I'm brought back to the moment. Think later, survive now. The way I see it, I have two options. I could try to pull myself up, but with the slant of the roof and lack of anything to grip and pull on, I'll risk slipping and falling to my death. I could try calling out and waiting for help, but if I alert the wrong people... The first major choice. I'm gonna pull myself up. I'm gonna hoit. Actually, let's quick save first. If this is an attempt at my life, calling for help will be futile. There would be no one to help me, or worse, the enemy might be alerted to my presence. No, idleness won't do. I must take the risk. Fueled by a new fire, I attempt to pull myself up the ledge, grunting from the effort as I go. Anastasia, thank you for the super. Happy birthday. You're 19. There you go. 19 kisses. But ignore the pain and quickly heave myself up. My torso lands on the roof first with a thud, then I leverage the balance and crawl further in, swinging my legs over the edge, and finally tumble to safety. I stand and shakily walk to the window, sliding it open to slip inside. When my feet touch the sturdy ground of the corridor, my mind and body finally give in as I slump to the floor. Breathing ragged, I feel the sweat on my palms, my knees weak and arms feeling heavy. My mind races and tries to make sense of what happened, but coherent thoughts slip through my grasp. Have I truly just survived an attempt on my life? I think back, trying to remember that attendant's face. Is he the culprit? Or was there someone else in the area, watching and waiting for their chance? The timing was too perfect to be a coincidence. I can't write it off as such any longer. But why? Could it be? I reach into my OB and take out the note, now crumpled from the rough handling earlier. One side clearly has the clan's insignia. I flip it over, and on the other side is a message. The goods have been delivered. Everything's falling into place. Meet us at the village market when the moon rises above the forest. We need to talk. I read it over again and again, confirming that my eyes weren't deceiving me. But sure enough, it spoke of a secret meeting at the market by nightfall. It doesn't say the date, but with an attendance rush, I assume it's soon. Perhaps tonight. I tucked the letter back into my OB, determination building within. Someone went through the trouble to ruin my day? So if they're targeting me for finding this note, then I can't tell the servants when it may endanger them or alert the enemy. It'd bring Onigiri, but with him working on another assignment, he'll be hard to reach, and it'd prove counterproductive to take him with me if this isn't related to the gunpowder. No, this is one I'll handle myself. They made it personal by targeting me in my own home, and I intend to repay the favor. Also, I'm gonna quick load. Yes, I'm gonna see what happens if you call for help. I decide that trying to pull myself up would be too risky, and instead try calling out for help. However, despite my cries, no one answers. I groan as my arm begins to seize, I'm sure the floor was empty when I arrived, and this balcony faces the forest away from the rest of the territory, so no one can see me from below. I begin to reconsider the option of pulling myself up, when I notice movement at the edge of my vision. To my surprise, it's a rooster, walking leisurely along the rooftop. It seems to notice my precarious position and head towards me. My brow furrows in confusion. I was used to attracting many people in my life with my voice, but this was the first to attract a literal cock at the worst possible moment. As the rooster approaches, I attempt to shoo it away by shifting positions, but it comes closer regardless. It peers down at me from its perch, tilting its head inquisitively as I glare back at its eyes. Then, without warning, the rooster starts pecking my hand, and I instinctively cry in pain. I shift my hands away from it, gripping another part of the roof, but it follows again and again, and we perform this silly dance until it pecks me at the right moment and I completely lose my grip. So, for those of you who aren't aware, this is a reference to one of my Sekiro Zero Death runs where I died to one of the chickens at the beginning of the game. I am very happy that this has endured for such a long time. Good lord. The last thing I feel is the free fall, and the last thing I see is the rooster's beady little eyes as it watches me plummet below, cocking his head and crowing to the sun. 101. Mifall. Mifail. Wait, that can't be right. Okay. Alright, so pull yourself up and then we can skip. There we go. Later that night. Later that day. I'm glad I chose correctly, although I didn't realize that was going to be what happened. Holy shit. Death by cock. It's not long before the time arrives, and I wait at the designated meeting place. I take a spot hidden in a nearby alleyway, ready to run if necessary. Though I considered moving closer, I'd have risked being seen. As it is, I think I'll be able to hear clearly. Now, waiting... Actually, I'm going to quick save again. Waiting comes as the hardest part. I can feel my heart beating faster than I'd like as I stay still, hidden, and silent. The anticipation feels palpable, and I wish the dread would leave the pit of my stomach. For as much as I've come to prove my findings, I would never be happier to be wrong. Is everyone here? The first words I hear are quiet, and are followed by the shuffle of feet nearby. I can vaguely see the outline of some dozen or so people gathering under the shadow of night. How can there be this many people involved in the plot? And how big was the scale that they risked this number of moving parts? I press my lips together and wait for what they have to say. Alright, so preparations are as good as they can get. The question is, are we ready? I hear murmurs of assent. Excitement even. Good. It won't be long now before our plans come to fruition. Thank goodness. I was worried about how we'd keep this up for any longer. I think the Lord is starting to suspect something. Yeah, he almost caught me earlier, but I think we're okay. I suspect more than just something. I just don't know what exactly. That's why I'm here. And you'll tell me, won't you? As long as he doesn't find out ahead of time, we should be fine. Did you get the gunpowder? I feel a wave of cold in my chest, thinking back to what I found in the storeroom. So this is linked somehow. Yeah, enough to light up the village. Everything's gone really well then. My hand tightens around the hilt of my sword as I hold back the surge of rage. Not my clan. No one endangers my clan. I'm ready to confront them, to break the meeting and face the traitors where they stand. And we couldn't have done this without your help. Onigiri. The words stop me in my tracks. My blood runs cold. No, it can't be. How? Don't mention it. I'm happy to help such a worthwhile cause. Hearing his voice triggers something within. The cold solidifies and sinks, feeling heavy in my stomach as I can't believe my ears. I spare a look around me. All seems empty and quiet, yet I can't shake the feeling of a million eyes staring at me, judging me for my naivety. Just how far did this go? How many layers of deception were present? What happened along the way to sway Onigiri? I come back to the moment, knowing I missed a few lines of conversation, when I tune in again. They're speaking to Onigiri. Then we'll need you to distract him somehow. Onigiri, could you? No problem. You take care of the finishing touches. Leave the Lord to me. My thoughts start to trace, trying to make sense of the situation. He can't be a traitor. Not Onigiri. It has to be an infiltration tactic. Surely in the days that passed, Onigiri found the enemy and offered his services to see how deep the roots ran. After all, he had a high enough position within my circle to entice them. A small treacherous voice reasoned that he neglected to inform me, but it made sense with the danger of infiltration. He can't communicate or risk getting discovered. Onigiri is my most trusted companion. He won't betray me. That's it. It has to be it. And yet, the doubt tastes rancid in my mouth as my thoughts continue to swim. I can't focus on their words anymore. My mind slows and tunes out the world with a fog of my own emotions. Anger, sadness, confusion, numbness, all at once, all overwhelming. I don't know how much time passes, but the lack of sound brings me back to the moment. I peer around the corner and only see emptiness where the gathering should have been. God damn it! Seems that the world means to conspire against me today. If not my life, then my clan and friends. And now, I don't even have anything to show for the trouble. All that remained was knowing my closest ally worked with an unknown group that conspired against me. And yet I don't know if I believe what I saw at all. I don't know how to feel. I'm unsure of what to do. I don't know what to think, except for wondering if I was better off not knowing. Sam! Alright! I shake my head at the memory as I walk through the crowded street and move ever closer to my destination. If my map isn't wrong, I should arrive in the next few minutes. But then, and again, there are new sights getting to me. Getting lost in the unfamiliar adds a unique sense of mystery to them. A pleasant surprise might lurk around the corner. Or perhaps I could happen upon something that will lead me to an adventure instead. I chuckle under my breath at recalling that stroke of luck. How different would it have been if I hadn't happened upon the note? For one, plans would have gone more smoothly, and it would have saved me the stress and heartache. Yet somehow, in spite of the trials, I can't help but look back on it with fondness.
Oi, what's with your face? You're wearing a really silly grin.
I'm taking a stroll down memory lane, as it were.
Oh yeah? Got any that stand out?
Only one. Remember our time with the clan in Sengoku period? I'm thinking back to our confrontation.
Ah, that night, huh? Yeah, that does stand out, huh?
I hum in agreement. It was quite the memorable night. And though I can't say it was my proudest moment, it was one that tested our friendship in ways I'll never forget. In the time it takes me to return to my throne, the doubt grows and feeds, its shadow lingering behind me through the night. I lounge on the dais and take in the sights of the trophies and achievements of my clan's achievements. But what once gave me a sense of pride only furthers my conflict. What have I done to earn their betrayal? I reached out to them, allowed them into my heart, only to be backstabbed when I least expected. The thought leaves a bitter taste in my mouth. But if I'm honest, Onigiri's actions are what affected me most. From the beginning, before my clan, when all I could offer was my voice and my sword, he stayed by my side. Humans aged, friends died, and the world continued to spin, and time moved mercilessly forward. Through it all, Onigiri remained a stable constant in my life. The idea of his betrayal is unthinkable. That's right, it's impossible. Has to be another explanation. I let loose a laugh that echoes throughout the empty throne room. Yes, Onigiri couldn't betray me! Ha 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 ha! Surely he couldn't betray me. I clench my trembling hands, willing them still. However, I know now that I can't believe my own thoughts and reassurances. I need proof. I need to see for myself that he is no traitor. And I know one place to get my answers. It's a risk, but it's one I'm willing to take if it means proving his innocence. And I'm sure he'll forgive me for it later. I stand and stride out of the throne room, with purpose, making my way down the hall and reinforcing the explanation for Onigiri's behavior in my head. He must be a double agent. It's the only logical answer. I know Onigiri is no stranger to using deceptive tactics to get information. That's practically what his many other forms are for. Yes, I can see it now. At the very last moment, Onigiri will report to me ready with information on everything and inform me of his necessary deception. He wouldn't really betray me. He wouldn't. My thoughts quiet as I stand in front of the door to Onigiri's room. I've really gone to Onigiri's room before, certainly never without him here. To intrude is to place the profound trust forged between us through the fire. Either we survive and emerge stronger, or our friendship burns in the flames. I shake my head. No. I can't think like that. Before, I didn't have reason to question anyone's loyalty, nor doubt those I would otherwise trust, before I could believe. But now I need to know. Whether it's confirmation of my fears or denial of them, anything. I just want to know the truth. I know I'm right to do this, but I can't help but feel dirty, slinking through my own halls, listening for footsteps and sliding open the door to his room. Damn, Onigiri got the armor! Nothing much has changed since I last saw it. The room is kept sparse, with its simple table surrounded by cushions. Onigiri's armor stands in its nook, with his weapons in a corner display. I hope I find nothing here unless it's proof he's on my side. I'm praying I'm right about this. If I'm right, if Onigiri is still loyal, then he is truly, sorry, the best friend I could ask for. And all of this becomes a much simpler problem. A single scroll hangs beside Onigiri's blades. You know, I don't think I've ever really taken notice of this before. Not sure what compels me in this moment, but I lift its edge to glance behind. I'm not expecting to find... Well, almost spoke too soon. My eyes catch sight of a panel in the wall. It's probably nothing, right? Valuables, perhaps. I open the panel and see a collection of papers. Taking them in hand, I begin to read through. The first paper is a trade contract. It's for the gunpowder I saw earlier. On it is a name I recognize and a record of purchase for more of the material than I should ever think necessary. They weren't kidding. This is enough for a village. This is bad, but it's evidence. Maybe he's only keeping it for now. I recognize the second letter as well, should I say. Letters. Tied in a small bundle are letters with messages and meeting details. The latest one sits atop the rest with the same message as I found earlier. With their number, how long has this correspondence been transpiring? Still, on their own, these aren't damning. He could have retrieved them from someone else and kept them as evidence. I turn over the last one on a whim and catch sight of a quick scrawl I recognize too well. My lord already suspects. Be careful and move quickly. I feel as though I've taken a punch in the gut. He could still be a double agent, please. My hand is shaking as I look over the last slip of paper. It's a letter to Onigiri. Please, please, just give me something. My love. It hasn't been long since our last letter, but I think about you every day. I didn't say what you wanted to hear, but you know my hope is always that you'll stop following that silly human-obsessed man around and live up to your potential. He doesn't appreciate you enough. You've done so much for him, and what does it amount to? I'd rather he followed you, and not the other way around. You're as skilled a leader as he is, and you deserve better. But I won't say more. We know where we stand. Remember, I'll support you no matter what you decide. The rest of the letter is unreadable, with the ink smeared away with a stain. But even then, it tells me all I needed to know. That's it then. He hasn't said anything, but maybe Onigiri felt he wasn't living up to his potential. Aoi certainly thinks so. The letter is dated a couple weeks ago. Maybe it was the push he needed. And if he felt he deserved more, it would make sense that he'd finally take it. It stings that he didn't say anything to me. That I didn't notice, and he didn't even trust me enough to bring his concerns up to me. What else haven't I looked? What else haven't I noticed about the people closest to me? I don't want to believe this sad, bitter, ugly truth. If I lied to myself now, I'd be far more foolish than anyone has ever taken me for. I may as well put my own head on a platter. I'm going to have to beat him to the punch and confront him with what I know. I'm feeling lightheaded and can't think straight. I don't know if I'm ready for a confrontation yet. No sooner have I finished this thought when I hear the thudding sound of familiar footsteps in the distance. It has to be Onigiri. Vic, thank you for the super. I can only imagine how furious he'd be to find me snooping around in his room. I have to do something before he gets here. Quickly, I look around the room. Against one of the walls is a big wooden box, large enough to fit a person. If I recall, it didn't house anything important, just simple clothes and random tools. I could try hiding in here and wait for Onigiri to come in here and leave, or I could risk sneaking out of the room. But I may get caught in the hall. If we hide, we might hear him saying something, so let's quick save here. If I stay, I might overhear something more. At the very least, I won't risk running into him in the corridor. I lift the lid of the box in the corner and wager I can fit. After squishing some clothing aside, I curl myself up, gingerly lower the lid, and wait, listening. The sound of the screen opening makes my heart pound, but I should be well hidden. I hear familiar footfalls from across the room. Vox Akuma. I hear familiar footfalls from across the room, and the sound of him setting something down on his table. When Onigiri's footsteps draw close, I hold my breath and wait. I hear 2 more steps in my direction, and then another, closer footfall. He stopped right beside me, but I don't think he knows I'm here. What the... My head is swimming. My body. My lord, why? I feel so tired. No, you can't. Vox, hold on! Game over. Shit, what did he do?